The UNSS Endeavour drifted through the darkness of space, its hull gleaming under distant starlight. Inside the ship, Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching the view screen with careful eyes. After 200 years of reaching for the stars, humanity had finally done it. They had built a ship that could cross the vast distances between stars in mere weeks instead of centuries. Now they were about to meet someone else out here in the black. "Captain, we're detecting a large vessel approaching," said Lieutenant Park from her station. "It's massive, at least 20 times our size." Rodriguez felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. This was the moment Earth had prepared for, the moment that would decide humanity's place among the stars. He straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. "Open a channel. All frequencies. Send the greeting package." The Endeavour broadcast humanity's message in every way they could think of. Mathematical sequences, pictures showing Earth and its people, music from every culture on the planet, a simple message of peace and hope for friendship. The alien ship responded within minutes. The voice that came through the speakers was strange, musical in a way that made Rodriguez think of wind chimes. "We are the Zexthari Dominion. You are in space controlled by us. Identify yourselves." Rodriguez smiled. "Contact, real contact. This is Captain Miguel Rodriguez of the United Nations Spaceship Endeavour, representing the people of Earth. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice returned, and something in its tone had changed. It sounded almost amused. "Earth, we have scanned your vessel and your biological signatures. You are a young species, primitive but interesting. We will allow you to approach our diplomatic station. Follow the beacon we are sending." The crew celebrated quietly as they followed the Zexthari ship. They had done it. Humanity was no longer alone. The diplomatic station was a wonder beyond anything Earth had built. It was a massive ring spinning in space with sections for hundreds of different species. Rodriguez and his team were escorted through corridors filled with beings of every shape and size imaginable. The Zexthari themselves were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large eyes that seemed to see everything. Ambassador Threndal greeted them in a chamber that seemed designed to show off the Dominion's power. Holographic displays showed thousands of worlds, all united under Zexthari rule. "Welcome, humans," Threndal said. Her voice was gentle, almost kind, but there was something else underneath it, something that Rodriguez couldn't quite identify. "You have entered a galaxy that has been at peace for 3,000 years. The Dominion maintains this peace. We protect the weak and guide the young. You are fortunate that you discovered faster than light travel now, when we can teach you the proper way to exist among the stars." Rodriguez felt a small knot of worry in his stomach. "We appreciate your welcome, Ambassador. We hope to learn from you and perhaps teach you something about humanity as well. We believe in cooperation between equals." Threndal's expression changed slightly. It might have been surprise, or maybe pity. "Equals. Small one, you must understand. The Dominion consists of 347 civilizations. We have technologies beyond your imagination. We have never lost a war because no one is foolish enough to fight us. You are not equals. You are children who have just learned to walk. We will guide you as we guide all others." The negotiations continued for weeks. Earth wanted territory to expand into. The Dominion offered a small cluster of 12 systems far from the main trade routes. Earth wanted trade agreements that would give them access to advanced technology. The Dominion offered to sell them outdated equipment at prices that would bankrupt Earth's economy. Dr. Sarah Chen, the Endeavour's chief science officer, spent her time studying the Zexthari and the other species in the Dominion. What she found troubled her. "Captain," she said one evening in his quarters, "I've been analyzing everything we've learned about the Dominion species. They all have something in common. They all evolved on worlds with few predators, abundant resources, low gravity. They're all prey species, sir. Every single one of them." Rodriguez looked up from his report. "What are you saying, Sarah?" "I'm saying they don't understand us. They can't. They've never had to fight for survival the way we did. They don't know what it means to be hunted, to struggle, to refuse to give up even when everything says you should die." Rodriguez nodded slowly. "That might explain why they treat us like children. They think because we're smaller and newer, we're weak. Sir, I think we need to be very careful. If they push us too hard, if they threaten us, they won't expect the kind of response we're capable of giving." But the warning came too late. 3 months after first contact, the Dominion Council made their decision. Earth's demands were too aggressive. Humans needed to learn their place. A small demonstration of power would teach them humility. The mining colony on Kepler 442b was humanity's first settlement outside the solar system. 50,000 people lived there, mining rare elements and building a new world. They had farms and schools and hopes for the future. The Zexthari fleet arrived without warning. Their weapons were precise and terrible. In less than an hour, the colony was gone. Every building destroyed, every ship disabled, every person dead. The Dominion broadcast a message to Earth. Ambassador Threndal's face appeared on every screen, her expression serious, but not unkind. People of Earth, you have been given a lesson. You pushed for more than you deserved. You demanded what was not yours to demand. The Dominion does not enjoy violence, but we will use it to maintain order. 50,000 of your people have died. It is regrettable but necessary. You will now accept the terms we offered. You will take your place as junior members of the Dominion. You will learn to be grateful for our guidance. If you resist further, more of your colonies will be eliminated. We do not wish to destroy you. We wish to help you, but you must accept your place. The people of Earth watched in horror and disbelief. Then the horror turned to something else. Something cold and dark and very, very old. The United Nations Security Council met an emergency session. The debate was short. Earth's response was a single message, broadcast on all frequencies the Dominion used. No video, no explanation, just words. You have made a grave mistake. Ambassador Threndal watched the message in her quarters on the diplomatic station. She felt confused. Surely the humans understood now. Surely they would surrender. 50,000 dead should have broken their will to resist. She called her military advisor. What does this message mean? Are they surrendering? The advisor, a Zexthari general who had never fought a real war, seemed uncertain. I do not know, Ambassador. Perhaps it is a cultural response we don't understand, their grief expressing itself as anger. Should we be concerned? The general made a gesture that was the Zexthari equivalent of a laugh. Concerned of what? They have 12 ships capable of military action. We have 10,000. Their weapons are primitive. Their tactics are untested. If they are foolish enough to fight, we will sweep them aside in a day. But in the darkness of space, things were moving. Earth's factories were running day and night. Every ship that could carry a weapon was being armed. Every person with military training was being called up. Every resource was being directed toward a single purpose. Humanity was going to war, and the Zexthari Dominion, who had never known a true predator, was about to learn what humans became when someone hurt their pack. The war room deep beneath Geneva was filled with screens and people who had not slept in days. General Marcus Stone stood at the center, looking at the holographic display showing the Zexthari fleet movements. They were coming. 10,000 ships moving toward Earth like a slow tide. They think we'll surrender, Admiral Patricia Hayes said quietly beside him. She had gray hair and tired eyes, but her voice was steady. Their intelligence reports say we're panicking, that our governments are collapsing, that we'll beg for mercy before they arrive. Stone allowed himself a small, cold smile. Good, let them think that. How long until they reach Earth? 48 hours. They're not even trying to hide. No stealth. No advanced formations. They're just coming straight at us like we're not even a threat. Dr. Sarah Chen entered the room carrying a datapad. She had transferred from the Endeavour to Earth as soon as the war started, and now she headed the Xenobiology Intelligence Division. General, I have the psychological profile you requested. I've studied every interaction we've had with the Zexthari and every species in their dominion. Tell me something useful, Doctor. Sarah pulled up images on the main screen. The Zexthari have never experienced real war. Their conflicts are ritualized. Two fleets meet. They display their weapons and the weaker side surrenders. Actual fighting is rare. Casualties are minimal. They have rules, protocols, boundaries. They're playing a game, Hayes said, exactly. And they expect us to play by the same rules. They've never fought someone who refuses to quit, who sees war as something you do whatever it takes to win. Stone nodded. Then we'll teach them a new game. One we've been playing since we lived in caves. Hayes, are the defense platforms ready? All 600 are online. The lunar batteries are charged, and we have 200 ships that can actually fight. It's not enough, sir. It doesn't have to be enough. It just has to hurt them badly enough that they realize what they're facing. The Zexthari fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Fleet Commander Krell stood on the bridge of his flagship. looking at the small blue world on his screens. So tiny, so insignificant, and yet these humans had refused to surrender. "Send the message," he ordered. "One final chance to submit." The message went out across all channels. "Surrender now or be destroyed. Accept the Dominion's rule or watch your world burn." Earth's response came from Admiral Hayes herself, broadcasting from the UNSS Defiant in orbit above Earth. "Commander Krell, you killed 50,000 of our people. You murdered men, women, and children to make a point. We have a saying on Earth: play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You played. Now collect your prize." Krell felt something strange. Was it anger? He wasn't sure. The Zexthari rarely felt such emotions. "You have 200 ships. I have 10,000. This is not bravery. This is stupidity." "Maybe," Hayes said. "Why don't you come find out?" The battle began badly for humanity. The Zexthari weapons were more advanced. Their shields were stronger. The first human ships that engaged were destroyed quickly. Krell watched with something like sadness. Such waste. These humans could have been guided, taught. Now they would die. But then something strange happened. The human ships stopped fighting like the Dominion expected. They didn't form neat lines. They didn't follow predictable patterns. They attacked from every direction at once, then disappeared behind the moon or behind orbital platforms. They used the sun's glare to hide. They fired missiles that seemed to miss, then curved back around for surprise attacks. "This is chaos," Krell's tactical officer said. "They have no formation, no strategy. They're just striking randomly." But it wasn't random. Every human attack was forcing the Zexthari fleet to spread out, to divide their forces, to lose their formation. And every time a Zexthari ship got separated from the others, the humans swarmed it like wolves pulling down prey. "They're hunting us," Krell said softly, and felt that strange emotion again. This time he recognized it. Fear. Captain Sarah Chen commanded the UNSS Valkyrie, a small ship barely worthy of the name. She had 40 people under her command, but they were all volunteers. They were all people who had lost someone on Kepler 442b. "Target acquired," her weapons officer said. "Zexthari flagship. It's heavily shielded. We can't damage it with our weapons." "We're not going to shoot it," Sarah said quietly. "We're going to board it. Set intercept course." Full speed, her crew stared at her. "Captain, that's suicide." "No," Sarah said. "Suicide is giving up. This is something else. This is showing them what happens when you poke a sleeping predator." "Helm, take us in!" The Valkyrie accelerated directly at Krell's flagship. Point defense systems destroyed it before it could ram the larger ship. But not before Sarah and her boarding team launched in armored pods. They hit the flagship's hull and burned through. Krell watched his security feeds in disbelief. Humans in armored suits were inside his ship. They were moving through the corridors, and his security forces were falling back in panic. "Send more guards," he ordered. "They are only 40 individuals." But the Zexthari had never developed close combat skills. They had never needed to. Their wars were fought at long range with precise weapons. Now they faced humans in narrow corridors, and the humans had knives and guns and something else. Something terrible in their eyes. The security footage showed a Zexthari guard frozen in fear as a human walked toward him. The guard had a weapon. The human only had a blade. But the guard dropped his weapon and ran. Sarah led her team through the flagship like she had lived there all her life. The ship's layout was logical, designed for efficiency. That made it predictable. She found the command deck and blew the door open. Krell stood in the center of his bridge, surrounded by his officers. They all stared at the humans who had somehow reached them. Sarah pulled off her helmet and looked directly at the fleet commander. "Commander Krell, I'm Captain Sarah Chen. You're going to order your fleet to withdraw from Earth space. Right now." Krell tried to make his voice steady. "You cannot win. If you kill me, another will take my place." "I know," Sarah said. "I'm not here to win. I'm here to send a message. You think we're prey. You think we're weak. You're wrong." She pulled out a device and threw it at Krell's feet. "That's a recording device. It's been broadcasting everything that happened since we boarded your ship. Every one of your soldiers running in fear. Every corridor we took without resistance. The entire Dominion is watching right now. They're watching their mighty fleet commander standing helpless on his own bridge, while a single human squad took his ship." Krell felt his legs weaken. The disgrace. The humiliation. But worse than that was the look in the human's eyes. There was no hate there, no anger. Just cold, patient determination. Withdraw your fleet, Sarah said again. Or I swear to you we will board every ship you have, one by one, and the galaxy will watch the mighty Zexathari run from a species they thought was beneath them. Krell gave the order. The fleet withdrew. In the war room on Earth, General Stone watched the Zexathari ships jump away. It wasn't victory. It was just the first round, but it was enough. Send Captain Chen's footage to every media outlet in the galaxy, he ordered. Let them all see what happens when you threaten humanity. Let them see that we don't surrender. We don't quit. We hunt. Across the Dominion, hundreds of species watched the footage. They saw their mighty protectors running from a handful of humans. They saw fear in Zexathari eyes for the first time in 3,000 years. And in the darkness of space, humanity prepared for the next round. They built more ships, trained more soldiers, and they marked every world the Zexathari controlled on their maps. The prey had become the predator, and the hunt had only just begun. 6 months had passed since the Zexathari fleet withdrew from Earth. 6 months of humanity building, planning, and preparing. Now they were ready to take the fight to the enemy. The Dominion Council gathered in their grand chamber on the capital world of Zextar Prime. Ambassador Threndal stood before them, trying to explain what had gone wrong. The humans are not behaving as predicted, she said, her voice strained. They should have been grateful we spared their world. Instead, they have attacked 17 of our outposts. They strike without warning and disappear before reinforcements arrive. Council leader Vextor, ancient and wise by Zexathari standards, seemed puzzled. 17 outposts in 6 months? How is this possible? We have superior numbers, superior technology. Each outpost has defenses that should stop any attack. They don't attack directly, Threndal explained, pulling up tactical displays. They send small teams. They sabotage our systems. They destroy our supply lines. They make our soldiers afraid to sleep. And they never stop. Day and night, they keep coming. Vextor looked at the reports with growing concern. This is not how war is conducted. There are rules, protocols. Civilized species fight with honor. The humans don't care about honor, Threndal said quietly. They care about winning. In the Tyro system, a major Zexathari military base orbited a gas giant. 10,000 soldiers were stationed there, along with weapons capable of destroying planets. It should have been impregnable. Commander Zalcor sat in his office reviewing reports. His guards hadn't slept properly in weeks. Every strange noise made them jump. Every shadow might hide a human infiltrator. Sir, we need reinforcements, his second officer said. The soldiers are breaking down. They're seeing humans everywhere. Some are refusing to go on patrol. There aren't any humans here, Zalcor snapped. Our sensors would detect them. Our shields would stop them. They're millions of miles away. But even as he said it, the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Alarm screamed throughout the base. What's happening? Zalcor demanded. Unknown, sir. Main power is offline. Communications are down. I'm reading explosions in sections 7 through 12. Then over the emergency speakers came a human voice. Calm, almost friendly. Good evening, Commander Zalcor. This is Lieutenant Marcus Webb, United Nations Special Operations. We've been in your base for 3 days. We've placed charges on every critical system. You have 10 minutes to evacuate your personnel before this base becomes a debris field. We're transmitting the location of your escape pods now. Use them. Zalcor stared at the speaker in disbelief. This is impossible. How did you get inside? Does it matter? Webb's voice replied. 9 minutes now. I'd hurry if I were you. The base exploded exactly when the humans said it would. Every soldier made it to the escape pods. Not a single life was lost, but the message was clear. Nowhere was safe. Humans could get anywhere. Earth's strategy was simple but brutal. They called it the persistence protocol. Human teams rotated in 8-hour shifts, attacking the same targets over and over. Zexathari soldiers needed 12 hours of rest per day. Humans needed 6. That meant human forces were always fresh while the enemy was always exhausted. Admiral Hayes reviewed the reports from the front lines. They're starting to crack. We're getting intelligence that some Dominion species are questioning why they're fighting us. The Corvalli pulled 3 fleets back to protect their home worlds. The Thren species is refusing to send more soldiers. General Stone nodded. Good. We're not trying to conquer them. We're trying to make them understand that attacking us costs more than any benefit they could gain. Dr. Sarah Chen, now a commander after her boarding action, sat across from them. The Zexthari are planning something big. Our intelligence suggests they're moving their ultimate weapon into position. The Stellar Renderer, Hayes said grimly. We've heard rumors about it. It can ignite stars, turn them into supernovas. They're going to use it on Earth, Sarah said. They think if they destroy our home world, the rest of humanity will lose hope. Stone was quiet for a long moment. Where is this weapon? The Nextall facility. Deep in Dominion space. It's protected by 50,000 soldiers and a defense fleet. Getting there would require every ship we have. And even then, the odds of success are almost zero. Almost zero, Stone repeated. But not impossible. Sir, the casualties would be devastating. We'd lose 90% of any force we sent. Stone stood and walked to the window, looking out at Earth. Captain Chen, you once told me that the Zexthari don't understand us because they've never had to fight for survival. They need to learn something else about humans. We're willing to sacrifice for the pack. 10% survival odds? That means 10% of our people come home. For humanity, that's enough. The mission was called Operation Last Light. 300 ships, 15,000 soldiers. They all knew the odds. They all volunteered anyway. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UNSS Hammer as the fleet prepared to jump. Around her, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. No one talked about what was coming. They didn't need to. All ships report ready, her communications officer said. Sarah opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Chen. In a few minutes, we're going to jump into the most heavily defended system in the Dominion. Most of us won't come back, but for those who do, remember this. Every one of us who doesn't make it bought the ones who do another second. Another chance. Another step closer to destroying that weapon. Don't waste it. Don't hesitate. Don't quit. Make every second count. The fleet jumped. The Nextall system was a fortress. The Stellar Renderer sat at its center, a massive installation that glowed with terrible power. The defense fleet moved to intercept the humans immediately. Sarah watched as the first human ships died. They formed a shield, taking hits meant for others. Each sacrifice bought seconds for the rest to get closer. Boarding teams away, her tactical officer reported. We're down to 40 ships, 30, 20. The Zexthari couldn't understand what they were watching. The humans kept coming. They flew damaged ships into Dominion vessels. They used escape pods as missiles. When their weapons ran out, they rammed. 15 ships left. 10-5. Sarah's ship took a direct hit. Half the bridge exploded. She felt something break in her chest, but there was no time for pain. Boarding teams have entered the facility. Communications reported. The officer's voice weak from injuries. They're fighting through the defenders. On the Stellar Renderer, Lieutenant Marcus Webb led what was left of the boarding teams. They had started with 200 soldiers. Now there were 20. The facility's defenders outnumbered them 100 to 1, but the defenders were Zexthari. They had never known desperation. They had never fought someone who knew they were going to die and charged anyway. Webb and his team reached the core. The weapons' power systems were massive, beautiful in a terrible way. He placed the charges while his team held the door. Webb, this is Chen. Sarah's voice came through, barely a whisper. How's it going down there? We're at the core. Charges are set. But we can't get to the escape point. Too many defenders between us and the ships. I know, Sarah said. It's okay, Marcus. You did it. That's all that matters. Webb looked at his team. Young faces, scared faces, but determined. It's been an honor, he said to them. They nodded. They understood. The Stellar Renderer exploded in a flash of light that could be seen across the sector. The defense fleet stopped firing. They had won. The humans were defeated. But they had also lost. The weapon was gone. 3 ships made it back to Earth. 1,500 people out of 15,000. The cost was terrible, but the message was clear. The Dominion Council watched the footage of the attack. They watched humans flying damaged ships into their vessels. Watched them fight with broken bodies. Watched them detonate their own ship reactors to take out Zexthari positions. What are they? Council Leader Vextor whispered. What kind of species does this? Ambassador Threndall knew the answer now. She had studied humans for months. They're pack hunters, persistence predators. On Earth, they tell stories of wolves that chase prey for days without stopping, of ancient humans who hunted animals by following them until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They don't know how to quit. They don't have that instinct, and they'll die for their pack without hesitation. Vextor looked at the list of Dominion species now refusing to fight. The list was growing every day. How do we defeat something like that? He asked. Threndal didn't have an answer. 1 year after the destruction of Kepler 442b, the Zexothari Dominion was falling apart. Not through military defeat, but through something far more dangerous. Fear. Dr. Marcus Webb stood in the Dominion Council chamber as a guest speaker. He was the brother of Lieutenant Marcus Webb, the man who had destroyed the Stellar Renderer. The same Marcus Webb who had been a xenoanthropologist before the war. Now he was Earth's voice to the galaxy. The chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of species. Many seats were empty. Those species had already left. The Dominion Council leader Vextor gestured for Webb to speak. The ancient Zexthari looked tired, defeated. The Council has agreed to hear your perspective, human. Perhaps understanding you will help us find a path to peace. Webb walked to the center of the chamber. Every eye was on him. He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth. This is my home, he began. It doesn't look like much compared to the beautiful worlds of the Dominion. But let me tell you about Earth. The gravity is high. Resources are limited. And for millions of years, it was filled with things that wanted to kill anything that moved. He changed the image to show prehistoric Earth. Massive predators hunting in packs. Smaller predators hiding in trees. Prey animals that could kill with a kick or a bite. Humans evolved here. We weren't the biggest. We weren't the fastest. We weren't the strongest. We had soft skin, weak teeth, no claws. By all logic, we should have gone extinct. The council members leaned forward. This was information they had never considered. But we had something else, Webb continued. We had endurance. We could run for hours while our prey collapsed from exhaustion. We had cooperation. We hunted in packs, sharing information and working together. We had adaptability. When the climate changed, we changed with it. When our prey developed defenses, we developed new hunting methods. He changed the image to show early humans tracking an animal across a desert. Do you know what persistence hunting is? It's simple. You find an animal. You chase it. It runs away. You follow. It gets tired and stops. You keep coming. It runs again. You follow again, over and over for hours, sometimes days, until finally the prey's body gives out. It can't run anymore. Then you take it. A Corvalli representative stood up, his voice shaking. This is barbaric. No civilized species hunts like this. Webb turned to look at him. You're right. It is barbaric. But it kept us alive. And it taught us something fundamental about existence. If you want to survive, you never stop. You never quit. You keep moving forward no matter what. He pulled up footage from the war. Human ships damaged and burning but still fighting. Soldiers with broken bodies still advancing. The assault on the Stellar Renderer. You asked what we are. We're survivors. We're the species that Earth tried to kill for millions of years and failed. We're descended from the ones who were too stubborn to die. Vextor spoke, his voice quiet. We understand now. But understanding does not change the situation. We are still at war. Our military still has millions of soldiers. You cannot defeat us through attrition. You're right, Webb agreed. We probably can't, but here's the thing about humans. We don't fight wars to win them quickly. We fight them until they're over. How long can your species sustain this war? 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? We'll fight for 100 years if we have to. We'll fight until every ship is destroyed and then we'll build new ones. We'll fight until the last human draws their last breath. The chamber was silent. Then a small voice spoke from the back. It was a Wyran delegate, a species that had been part of the Dominion for 1,000 years. Why? Why would you do this? 50,000 dead is terrible, but is it worth millions more? Is revenge worth this cost? Webb's expression softened. It's not about revenge. Well, not just revenge. It's about what happens if we surrender, if we accept that someone can kill our people and we'll just bow our heads and take it. What message does that send? That humans can be pushed around, that we can be bullied, that we're prey. He looked around the chamber. We're not prey. We're predators. And the first rule of being a predator is that you never show weakness, because the moment you do, everything else starts to think you're food. Over the next weeks, Webb's speech was broadcast across the galaxy. The response was massive and varied. Species that had evolved from prey animals watched it with horror. These humans were everything they had feared in their evolutionary past. Relentless, patient, unstoppable. But some species watched it with different eyes. The Talcar, a species of carnivores who had always felt out of place in the peaceful Dominion, reached out to Earth. So did the Quinn, a species of scavengers who understood survival at any cost. "We admire your determination," the Talcar ambassador said in a private message to Earth. "We have always felt the Dominion did not understand us. Perhaps humans are species we can work with." Earth's response was cautious but open. "We're not looking for an empire. We're looking for partners, species who understand that sometimes survival means doing hard things." The Dominion Council watched as their power base crumbled. First one species declared neutrality, then another. Then entire sectors were refusing to send soldiers or supplies. Ambassador Threndal met with the Council in emergency session. "We have lost 40% of our member species. Those who remain are questioning whether this war is worth fighting. The military reports that soldiers are deserting. Entire fleets are refusing deployment orders." Vextor looked older than ever. "How did this happen? We have ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. We have maintained peace. We have protected the weak. We protected them from external threats," Threndal said. "But we never prepared them for something like this. The humans aren't an external threat. They're not conquerors who won our worlds. They're something worse. They're a mirror showing us what we've never had to be. Desperate, determined, deadly." A junior council member, younger and more aggressive, stood up. "Then we gather our remaining forces. We strike at Earth with everything we have. We show the galaxy that we're still strong. And if we lose?" Threndal asked. "If we send our fleet to Earth and the humans destroy it, what then? The Dominion ends. Every species under our protection becomes vulnerable to real threats. But we cannot simply surrender." Threndal pulled up a communication. "This arrived an hour ago. It's from Fleet Commander Krell. He's been in human captivity since the first battle at Earth." Krell's image appeared. He looked haunted, broken. "Council members, I am being treated well. The humans have been fair in their treatment of prisoners. But I must tell you something. I have lived among them for months now. I have seen them train, seen them plan, seen them prepare." He paused and his voice dropped to almost a whisper. "We cannot defeat them. Not because they're stronger. Not because they're more advanced. But because they don't know how to lose. I watched a human soldier with 2 broken legs crawl 2 miles to deliver a message. I saw a human pilot fly her damaged ship into a Dominion cruiser because she knew it was the only way to stop it. They don't have a surrender instinct. They don't have a retreat instinct. They only have forward." Krell's image looked directly at the Council. "Make peace. Whatever it costs. Make peace, because if you send a fleet to Earth, they will destroy it. And then they will come here. And they will never stop coming." The communication ended. The Council sat in silence. Finally, Vextor spoke. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them we wish to negotiate. Real negotiations. Not the token offers we gave them before." Threndal nodded. "And the terms?" "Whatever it takes," Vextor said tiredly. "We have learned a hard lesson. Never threaten something that knows how to hunt." On Earth, General Stone received the message. He read it twice, then called Admiral Hayes and Dr. Webb into his office. "They want to negotiate," he said. "It could be a trap," Hayes warned. "Maybe," Stone agreed, "but I don't think so. We've broken them. Not their military. Their will. They're prey species who suddenly realize they're facing a predator. Their instinct is to run. So what do we do?" Webb asked. Stone looked at both of them. "We make sure this never happens again. We make sure every species in this galaxy understands that humans are not to be trifled with, and then we show them that predators can also be protectors. That strength can be used to defend, not just to hunt." He pulled up a draft treaty. "We're going to reshape this galaxy, not as conquerors, as partners, but partners who everyone knows should never be pushed too far." The message went back to the Dominion. Earth agreed to negotiate, but the negotiations would be on human terms now. The prey had become the apex predator, and the galaxy would never forget it. 18 months after the destruction of Kepler 442b, the Zexthari Dominion made its final move. The negotiations had stalled. Earth demanded full recognition as an equal power, territory for expansion and reparations for the colony. The Dominion Council had refused all terms. Now every ship they could still command was moving toward Earth, 10,000 vessels. It was everything they had left. The Dominion species who remained loyal had contributed their fleets. This was the last roll of the dice. Council leader Vextor stood on the bridge of the command ship, looking at the tactical display. They outnumbered the human fleet 5-1. Surely this time would be different. We should have done this from the beginning, War Leader Shentok said beside him. Overwhelming force. No half measures. Vextor wasn't so sure. He had watched too many battles end in Dominion defeat despite superior numbers, but he said nothing. The decision had been made. On Earth, Admiral Patricia Hayes stood in the war room with General Stone. They were looking at the same tactical display. The numbers were not good. We have 2,000 ships ready for combat, Hayes said. Another 300 in reserve. Against 10,000, can we win? Stone asked quietly. Hayes was silent for a moment. Honestly? No, not without help. We've spent 18 months building alliances, but I don't know if anyone will actually show up when the fighting starts. Then we do what we always do, Stone said. We make them pay for every inch. We make them remember that attacking Earth is the worst decision they ever made. Captain Sarah Chen, now promoted to Admiral after the Stellar Renderer mission, walked into the room. She had spent 6 months recovering from her injuries. Her chest still hurt when she breathed deeply, but she had refused to sit out the final battle. The fleet is ready, she reported. Morale is high. Everyone knows what's at stake, Stone nodded. Any word from our friends? The Talcar confirmed they're coming. The Quinn are still undecided. The others say they're neutral, but we'll see. The Zexthari fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. They came in a massive formation, a wall of ships that blotted out the stars. It was meant to be intimidating. It worked. Vextor broadcast his message to Earth on all frequencies. People of Earth, this is your final chance. Surrender now. Accept our terms. Join the Dominion as a protected species. Refuse and we will destroy every orbital platform, every ship, and every installation you have built. We will leave you trapped on your world for 1,000 years. Admiral Hayes responded from the UNSS Defiant. Vexitor, did you really think you could kill our people and then dictate terms to us? Did you think we would ever bow to someone who murdered children? You made a mistake 18 months ago. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. Today you're going to learn just how wrong you were. You cannot win. Vextor shouted, his calm finally breaking. Look at your numbers. 5-1. This is mathematics, not bravery. You're right, Hayes agreed. We probably can't win. But here's the thing about humans. We don't care about the odds. We care about what's right. And destroying you for what you did? That's right, the battle began. Human ships rushed forward in their chaotic patterns, refusing to be pinned down. But there were too many Dominion vessels. Slowly, inevitably, the human fleet was being pushed back. Sarah Chen commanded a battle group on the left flank. She watched as her ships took damage as good people died. But they kept fighting. Every second they held was another second for Earth to prepare for the worst. Then something changed. New signatures appeared on the tactical display. Hundreds of them. Admiral, we have incoming ships, her sensor officer shouted. They're not Dominion signatures. The Talcar had arrived. 300 warships crewed by carnivores who understood what humans were fighting for, but they brought more than just ships. Behind them came vessels from a dozen other species. The Quinn had decided. The Corvalli, who had left the Dominion 6 months ago, had decided. Even some Zexathari commanders had decided that they could not follow Vexitor's orders anymore. Admiral Takar of the Talcar fleet opened a channel to Earth. Admiral Hayes, sorry we're late. We had to pick up some friends along the way. Hayes felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Takar, you beautiful predator. Welcome to the party. The tide of battle shifted. The Dominion fleet suddenly faced not 5-1 odds, but even numbers. And half their fleet was made up of conscripts who didn't want to be there. Vextor watched in horror as his formation fell apart. Ships were deserting. Entire squadrons were refusing to fire. Some were even joining the human side. This is impossible, War Leader Shentok said. The Dominion has stood for 3,000 years. How can it fall in 18 months? Vextor understood now. It's not falling because of military defeat. It's falling because it was built on a lie. We thought we were strong because no one challenged us. But we were never strong. We were just fortunate. We never met real predators until now. Sarah Chen led a strike force directly at the Dominion command ship. She had done this before. She knew how it ended. But this time felt different. This time felt final. Her ships punched through the defensive line. Boarding pods launched. But instead of fierce resistance, they found Zexathari soldiers who surrendered immediately. The fight had gone out of them. Sarah made her way to the bridge with her team. The doors opened, and there stood Vextor, ancient and defeated. No guards, no weapons. Just an old being who finally understood how badly he had miscalculated. "Admiral Chen," he said quietly. "We meet at last." "Council leader," Sarah replied. She kept her weapon lowered but ready. "Order your fleet to stand down." "Why should I?" Vextor asked. "Not defiant, just curious. You will show no mercy. Your species does not forgive." Sarah thought about that. About Kepler 442b. About Lieutenant Webb and the hundreds of others who had died at the Stellar Renderer. About the cost of this war. "You're right," she said finally. "We don't forget. But we're not monsters. Order your fleet to stand down. Agree to real peace. And we'll show you what humans do with defeated enemies. We help them rebuild. We help them become better, because that's what strength is really for." Vexistor looked into her eyes. He saw no hate there, no cruelty, just determination and surprisingly compassion. "You would help us? After everything we did? We'll make you pay reparations. We'll make sure you never threaten anyone again. But yeah, we'll help you. Because the goal isn't revenge. The goal is making sure this never happens to anyone else." Vextor gave the order. The Dominion fleet stood down. The war was over. The treaty negotiations took 6 months. Earth got everything it demanded. Territory, reparations, recognition, but more importantly, they got something else. Respect. Dr. Marcus Webb stood on the new Galactic Council station looking out at the stars. The council was different now. No more dominion, no more one species ruling all others. Now it was a coalition. Partners, equals. Ambassador Threndal approached him. She had become one of the few Zexathari that humans trusted. "Dr. Webb, I wanted to thank you. Your speech changed everything." "I just told the truth," Webb said, "about what we are, what we had to become to survive." "The galaxy fears you now," Threndal said. "You know that, don't you?" "I know. Does that bother you?" Webb thought about his brother, who had died destroying the Stellar Renderer. About all the others who had given everything. It's better than being seen as victims. Fear we can work with. Pity, contempt, those would have been harder. Threndal nodded. "There is a saying among prey species. Never run from a predator. You only make yourself more interesting. I never understood it until I met humans. And now I understand. You are apex predators, but you are also pack animals. You protect those who join your pack. Several species are already applying to join your alliance. They see that your strength can be used for protection, not just destruction." Sarah Chen had retired from military service. She opened a training academy for other species who wanted to learn human tactics, not to make them predators, but to help them defend themselves. On the anniversary of Kepler 442b's destruction, a memorial was unveiled at the site. Species from across the galaxy attended. Even Vextor came, old and broken but still alive. He stood before the memorial wall with the names of the 50,000 dead. "I am sorry," he said quietly. "I was arrogant. I thought we knew everything about the galaxy." "I was wrong." Sarah stood beside him. "You made a mistake, but you learned from it. That's more than many would do." "Your species is remarkable," Vextor said. "You could have destroyed us. You had every right, but you chose to help instead." "We're predators," Sarah said, "but we're not monsters. There's a difference. Predators hunt when they need to. Monsters hunt because they want to. We needed to stop you. We didn't need to destroy you." Back on Earth, in a classroom, a teacher was explaining to children what had happened, why the war started, how it ended, what it meant for humanity's future. "Are we scary?" a little girl asked. "The alien children, are they afraid of us?" The teacher, a veteran of the war, smiled gently. "Some are, but that's okay. Because when they get to know us, they learn that humans can be scary, yes, but we can also be friends. We can be helpers. We can be the ones who stand up to bullies. So we're like superheroes? In a way. We're strong because we had to be, and now we use that strength to help others."